Hey guys, Jared, Transformational Coaching, Action is Transformation. In this video, we're going to get into 4 emotion signs that show your relationship is headed in a good direction, or that show that it's going to be successful. I've been doing this relationship series with Laura now for about 2 months, and there's been some patterns that I've noticed within the people that I've coached, within the conversations that I've had, with the interviews that I've done, and then also all the research on the back end that I'm doing on it from successful individuals in this industry like John Gottman, David Snyder, some of the other people who go into how to create healthy, deep relationships. And I'm really excited to share with you these 4 signs and these 4 emotions that if we generate will allow us to have a successful relationship, because I wasn't aware of them growing up. And all the research right now is saying that the more successful we are in relationship in terms of feeling safe, secure, and stable, the more happiness and fulfillment we're going to have in our life. So in this video, I'm going to share with you those 4 key emotional signals that let you know you're headed in the right path or in the right direction. So next time you get in a relationship, or if you are in a relationship, you can kind of do a checklist to see if you're headed in the right direction. One of the things that I've noticed in our society is that we value science, technology, engineering, and math. If you look at all the scholarships, they go in those directions. And we've really done a great way as a culture and as a collective species to master the physical world, but the emotional world, the deeper spiritual and energetic worlds, not too many of us know how to work with. And so when we get into a relationship, we might have our security or our finances worked out, but the emotions and the energetic components of a relationship, we don't really understand. And that's really what makes life worth living, is those satisfying relationships to other people, to the community, to ourselves. Yet it's something that we're not trained on, or we don't really teach it in schools. The closest we get to it is psychology, and even psychology, you have therapy, and yet I've coached a lot of therapists, and many of their lives are actually really suffering in relationships. And so I think it's really valuable that we talk about emotions and how to create healthy relationships for ourselves, because they're so integral to living an enjoyable life. I know for me, there came a point where I knew I had to get every relationship in my life set straight. And so I did. I spent 3 years with my family members, sharing all the stuff and the skeletons in the closet. And by the time that we were all done that phase, I felt so much better about myself. My family felt good about me, and I had nothing but really healthy relationships in my life. And it's not a fairy tale. It's possible. It's just speaking up. So I'm going to share with you some signs that I started to become more aware of once I started having healthier relationships and started seeing them in my life, but also in the lives of my clients. Number 1, admiration. Admiration is hands down one of the most important emotions that you can experience in a relationship. The admiration defined is something regarded as impressive. So it's actually seeing your partner as a human being who you are impressed with. What does impress mean? It literally means to impress upon one's self. And so it comes down to impact. If your partner does things in the world that you really admire, ask yourself, well, what is it about them that I admire specifically, and how can I hold that in my perception, and how can I speak that to them? You know, I remember in the last relationship I was with, we didn't end up staying together, but there were certain qualities that I admired about her. And I would communicate those. I would just say, I really admire this about you. I really admire the fact that you get up at this time and work, and that you're focused on your employees in this way. And that generates a sense of respect in the relationship. And respect is absolutely key to having any success or longevity in a relationship. When we feel respected as human beings, every human being has an inherent need to feel respected and be revered. And when we offer that in our relationships, you'll see that they'll go much further, or they won't end at all until you die, which, if that's what you want to do, I think that's a pretty beautiful way to live. Number 2, fondness. What is fondness? Fondness is an emotion that's generated around love, and it's showing not only a deep reverence for another person, but it's showing a sense of sensitivity and care and willingness to endure. Fondness itself, you can have admiration and respect, but fondness is more sensitive. It's on a deeper level. Think about when you have a child, or when a new baby comes into the world, and you feel a deep sense of reverence and respect and love and fondness for that new child, for that newborn. Fondness allows us to create a safe space with one another. It's the emotion that allows us to create a bubble of safety and security and of cherishment. And I'll get into cherishment a little bit later on in the video. What's most important about fondness is it allows us to come closer together in a way where we're gentle with each other. There's a lot of stuff that's always going on in the world. There's a lot of challenges with work, with raising kids, with just living in the modern age. But when we have a sense of fondness that's created in our partnership, it's a safe, gentle space that we can come back to that feels really good for everyone. One of the things that I do to generate fondness whenever I want to generate it in a relationship, because you can do this outside of your romantic relationships. There might be times where you want to generate this type of emotion with your brother or your sister. There's nothing wrong with that. It's creating a deeper love. Instead of just saying, I'm proud of you, or I'm impressed by you, or I'm attracted to you, you could say, I'm proud of you because of this, or I'm attracted to you because of this, or I'm impressed about that, like being specific. Specificity shows true care. It shows true intention. It shows true love. It lets that other person know, wow, they're really paying attention to me and they really see me for who I am. When we feel seen by another human being, it's one of the greatest feelings. Just being seen by another person and being validated by another human being, it's one of the best experiences that I think all humans crave at a really deep level. In fact, I have this theory that one of the reasons why so many individuals go all out in life is because a part of them still wants to be seen that hasn't been seen yet or validated. So the best thing that you can do to create fondness with another person or an individual is to show that they're truly seen. And for them to see that they're really seen, you want to be specific. You want to be specific about what you see in the relationship and what you see in that other person. Number 3, and this is close to fondness, but there's a little bit of subtlety here, cherish or cherishment. What does it mean to cherish people? When you cherish someone, you treasure them. You hold them as dear. And people know when they're being cherished. It's one of the greatest feelings that we get, especially in the beginning of a relationship. Cherishment is what I see when you're holding a new child. You cradle them, you feel that this thing that's in front of you, you cherish it deeply. And so cherishment, why it's important is when we feel a sense of cherishment, we feel seen, we feel appreciated, we feel validated. There are all these feminine qualities that we can embody and that we can give to other people in order for them to feel a sense of wholeness within themselves. All human beings need to be supported. All human beings need to feel loved. All human beings need to feel like they're cherished. And so the best thing that you can do in your partnerships is give or create a sense of cherishment within the relationship. Be specific. Just as when you're being fond of someone, cherishment is actually treasuring them. It's almost taking a sense of ownership, but not a sense of ownership in a controlling way. A sense of ownership that this is mine and this is yours, and nothing can take us out of what we've created for each other. I remember I was looking at one of my cousin's posts a while back when she first met her husband, and they have 2 children now, and the best way she said it was a happiness bubble. It's like we create this happiness bubble where the rest of the world just ceases to exist. And so you want to create that with your partner. And so ask yourself, what are ways that I can cherish my partner? And what are ways that they can cherish me? And what does that actually look like? When we add cherishment into our relationships, we'll feel a sense of wealth and health in the relationship. you can always choose to find something bad about someone, or you can always choose to find something good about someone. It's the very nature of being a relationship and being human. There's always going to be shadows that come up. But when we cherish someone, we consciously choose to look at the great qualities about them and highlight and uphold those qualities above everything else. And when we highlight those good qualities or those higher qualities of someone else, then we truly cherish them, and they'll feel that. Anytime that we cherish someone or treasure them, they feel good, and we start to feel good in return. Number 4, hear your emotional bids that come from your partner. This concept is really important to understand, and I'll do a video on this separately, but an emotional bid is every time your partner asks for support, in either consciously or unconsciously, they're looking for you to invest in them. They're looking for you to bid into the relationship. You know, Gottman talks about the relationship bank account, and what every relationship has is an account where people put into it and they make a deposit and they also take from it. And the most successful relationships, they see where their partner is placing a deposit and then where you're also asking for a return on the bank account. So for instance, let's say you're in a relationship and you're driving and your partner gives you a call and they start talking about their day and they're really stressed out and overwhelmed. Well, in that moment, if they're really stressed out and overwhelmed, and let's say you're really tired, you can stay on the phone with them and talk with them, or you can say, hey, I got to do this other thing. This is more important right now. Or you can just say, hey, I'm really tired. I just don't want to talk right now. Depending on what you're doing, you're either placing you're doing a deposit into the relationship bank account, or you're taking away from it. And so in this moment, let's say that you're driving home and your wife calls you and you're exhausted and you're tired and she's tired and you can tell she's really stressed out. Well, in that moment, let's say you get off the phone after you've listened to her and you say, you know what, I'm going to pick her up a latte because I really care for her. Well, in that moment, if you pick up her a latte for her and then you know that latte makes her happy and you get home and you give her that latte and she gets really excited and happy, you've made an investment in the relationship bank account. So she made a bid earlier asking for support. Whether she asked for it and spoke to it or not, she was looking for support. And you saw that she was hurting and that she was stressed out, and you got her a Starbucks coffee because you thought that would make the relationship better, and that would make her feel better. She bidded for support and you responded to it. Now, we make bids all the time. It's just whether we're aware of it or not. You know, sometimes I'll have one of my friends call me up and they'll be hurting and I'll just listen to them, and that will help us to have a healthy relationship because I'll just listen to them and then I'll say, hey, would you like to hear my advice, or do you just want me to listen to you? Sometimes it's just listening. Other times they'll be asking for advice. And so that's the bidding. Anytime that we're asking for support, either directly with our voice or indirectly with just reaching out to someone and asking if they can listen to us, we're asking for support. We're making a bid. We're saying, hey, can you support me right now? Can you hear me out? Whether they're aware of it or not, that's what they're doing. So it's important, if we want to have a successful relationship, to listen to our partner's bids or pleads for support and then respond to them accordingly. And every time you respond to them accordingly, you build up the bank account for that relationship. And your bank account is always going up or it's going down. It really depends. It's going up if you're giving value and you're there for them, and it's going down if you're not hearing every time they have an emotional bid or every time they're asking for support in some way, consciously or unconsciously. Thanks so much for joining me, you guys. That's all I got for this time. If you like what you've seen here, please subscribe or share with any family or friends. Also, right now I'm doing a Sacred Relationship with series with Laura. If you haven't been a part of this, we've been doing it for the last 2 months. We're coaching individuals live. We're interviewing relationship coaches. It's been a great time so far. We still have 2 more months of it. If you'd like to sign up, we'd love for you to be a part of it. Other than that, that's all I have for this time.